Hey there everyone, Dr. Beth Westy here. I wanted to pop on and talk about stress and the one thing about it that's really keeping you from getting the results that you want, and some other things that can be getting in the way with that, related to that. This is a really tough thing to really identify. So I wanted to talk about the stress hormone cortisol and if it's too high or too low. So often I chat with women and they're like, oh my gosh, I have so much stress in my life and I've had so much stress in my life for a long time. My stress must be high, right? It's got to be high. It's got to be getting in the way. And so you're expecting a certain reaction to your body, and you'll start doing things, right? You'll start, treating your system as if your stress is so high. And then you're like, gosh, why am I not getting better? Why am I not seeing results? How come I can't see things shift and change from here? And really, it's a very similar feeling in your system of having really high cortisol or really low cortisol. And one of the main things here is that you get weight loss resistance with both. What? Yeah. Super fun, right? Oh, that's so great. Weight loss resistance with both. So I'm going to talk about the difference between the two of them. If you're wondering, and if you're like, how do I know? How do I figure this out for myself? Some of these things sound like me. I'm going to put a link right here in the comments for you to get a Dutch test. Yes. Here we go. A Dutch test, it's a dried urine test. It gets shipped right to your house. Once you take it, send it back into the lab, then we go over it, and I get to tell you what your cortisol levels are doing. So this is a sample of the Dutch, right? Looking at cortisol levels, high versus low. We get to see what your cortisols are doing throughout the day, so I know if you're waking up with energy or not. Sometimes when you wake up and your cortisols are skyrocketed, meaning you're waking up almost in an anxiety attack or a fight or flight mode. Oh, that's exhausting way to start the day. So when we're looking at your cortisol levels, and if your cortisols are really low, so this means that your system just doesn't have enough, gas in the tank. There's not enough, charge to your battery, right? And sometimes you can have like a flatlined energy all day. That's terrible. So oftentimes you'll just feel kind of tired all day. You're like, yeah, I can make it through the day. Mostly because you're used to it, right? But you make it through the day, you're just tired, like meh, just plugging along, meh, okay, yep, getting through the day. You don't have any extra activity going on because you just don't have the room for it. You don't have the stamina for it, right? You can do your things, get to work, all that stuff, but you get tired pretty early and you just kind of go to sleep. You don't go to sleep because you're like ready for bed per se, but more like, I'm just done, I'm toasted out at the end of the day, can't make it anymore. Yeah. This is also a place where, because your cortisol levels are so low, your system oftentimes has a hard time building muscle. And it's harder for women to build muscle anyway. I talk more about this in my book, The Female Fat Solution. This is on Amazon. I have another book called The Female Menopause Solution for Women in Menopause, again, also on Amazon. But again, nutrition for women's hormones and everything, lots of info and content here. But I talk about this and how it is tougher for women to build muscle. And if you want to get to a fat burning place or get more energy, all these other things, you need to have enough muscle tissue on your body. And for women, it is harder to do that. And if you don't have cortisol levels that are robust enough to do that, your system really is just too exhausted to build muscle. And oftentimes, if you are building any muscle, what your body likes to do, if it's lacking any energy, is it will break down that muscle tissue really, really fast and use it for energy. Yeah, break down that tissue. Yep, and then there you go. So if you feel like you've been going to the gym, working out, training for something, and you're like, I'm not really building muscle. I don't feel like I'm getting the results physically that I should be for how hard I'm working out. I'm really busting my butt. What the heck? You're not building muscle. Yeah. So there's that. It also leads to just bad sleep. You might feel like, yeah, I slept 9 hours, but I don't actually feel like I slept. Nope, didn't happen at all. Yeah. Now, let's look at the converse side of that. High cortisols, really high cortisols. You still feel fatigued, right? You still feel completely exhausted throughout the day. But sometimes you might actually feel revved, and then you crash, right? Revved up, and then fatigued. You crash. And sometimes you have a different source to get some energy from, but you use up that extra storage of energy, and there you go, you crash again. A lot of times this can lead you to just feeling more anxious overall, more worried overall, and again, bad sleep Oftentimes it's, getting to sleep, but you'll wake up in the middle of the night and your brain starts going and you can't calm it down, and you're like, why, brain, stop doing this, right? You just have bad sleep, right? Again, these both high or above range cortisol, low or below range cortisol, they both lead to weight loss resistance. They both lead to overall fatigue. They both lead to you feeling like you can't get results. You've gotten your thyroid tested 8 times and it's normal. And you're like, I don't know what else to do. Cortisol. Dutch test. That's going to tell you so much about your system, about what it's missing, and where to go from there. So this is such a helpful piece of information. And it's so common that you feel, lost, right? That you feel like, yeah, I've tried all these things. Yeah, I've done all these things. Yeah. Again, because it feels very similar. So that's the tough part, right? Normally if you're like, oh yeah, I'm having this happen, of course it's this thing. No, these things feel very similar. Thyroid feels similar to cortisol issues, which feels similar to adrenal fatigue, to all these others. It feels very similar. So if you're talking to somebody else and like, oh yeah, I had that. It was my thyroid. I got thyroid med. I'm all better. You might be thinking, well, that's not me, because my thyroid is apparently fine. It's very frustrating. But again, there's a lot more that you can do. There's a lot of things that you can do to take steps in the right direction to really see and feel a change for your system. So again, link in the comments for you to learn more about the Dutch test, get one sent right to you, and then we can go from there. Other resources I have for you, of course, are my podcast, The Female Health Solution, and then I also have my YouTube channel, which is called Dr. Beth Westy, where you can look at all my videos that get archived there. Subscribe to that just to stay updated on everything. So that's what I got for you guys tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I will see you later.